Hello, 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 everyone. Another session today. It's a great pleasure to be here again. And our next speaker, it's someone that I met in person 2 years ago at the Mautic conference in Brazil. It was such a great conference in Brazil, and and yeah, and then I had the chance to took this person and our group to visit a market in Brazil, and he tasted so many Brazilian fruits, and I hope his family liked the fruits he brought home. Yeah, this person is Eki. Eki, Eki, he's the CEO and Mautic team lead at Leuchtfeuer Digital Marketing in Hanover, Germany, and he's also an active contributor to open source for Age, early 2000s, and currently he's lead of community team in the Mautic open source project and also member of the Mautic Council at Leuchtfeuer, involved with Mautic client project on a daily basis. He's here with us, Eki, and today, Eki, he's going to speak about free plugins. It's unlike the fruits in Brazil, right, Eki? That you paid a lot because we were in a tourist area, and Eki he's going to talk about free plugins. Unlike here in Brazil, he paid a lot for his fruits. Hi, Eki.
Hey, Rodrigo, it's so good to see you again. And you know what? To date, we are still talking about that time in Sao Paulo. We really
Nice, amazing.
can't wait to go back one day. But to be honest, I didn't bring home any fruit. We just ate them all.
Oh my god, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with free speech and free beer, etc., in the open source. So, as you said, we've been around in open source for quite a while, and I think it's important to do a substantial contribution if we want to actually bring something forward. And it's also fun for us. It's part of the DNA. As you might see many people from our team around here at the conference, but elsewhere
Yeah.
as well. And I think that's just part of our job description, of what motivates us on a daily basis.
Oh,
Did you
great.
see no, you did not see the opening by Ruth this morning because you folks in America were still asleep.
Yeah, I missed. I
Yeah,
have to check
yeah, there will be a
the
recording.
recorded version.
Yeah, totally. There was this lovely bumping Morty note. I love the slides that Sven created here in the background of this, but there was this animated version. That was hilarious.
Oh my
Anyway,
goodness,
shall we
I have
get
to check it.
going with our content today?
Let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the stage is all yours.
Okay, thank you. See you later. Well, yeah, the title of this conversation is a little bit clunky, supercharging Mautic's B2B capabilities. In the end, we are just introducing a lot of new features to Mautic. Rodrigo already said we're located in Hanover, Germany. We're with about 30 people doing basically complex web projects and Mautic. That's the two things that we do. And of course, we are talking about Mautic today. And when we say Mautic today, we all know what it means. It does a ton of things, and it is all around contacts. That's the way it works. It's the way we think, and we don't really think out of the box. So a contact may have a company as a property, as an afterthought. But it has so many other things, and it is in workflows, and it can receive messages, etc. So contacts make sense. That's how marketing automation works. But there are edge cases, and those typically come up when we talk to clients who are either totally new or ran into a situation where Mautic is kind of, or has been kind of the wrong thing so far. Here are a few examples where you would really rather look at the company and not so much as at the contact. I mean, today you can have the company as a contact property. You can also have a location as a contact property, and you can do a lot with that. But having additional company data or even aggregated data across multiple company members, no such thing in Mautic. And so basically, that's what we're changing today. In fact, we have been changing that. The plugins have already been released. And those plugins are really feature by feature things for companies that we took from contacts and basically simulated them where it made sense for companies. Of course, those are on GitHub, free and open source, as it has to be. Let's look at them one by one. You know the menu item companies, it is no longer a single item. It is now a folder, and within that we have the companies list, but we also have additional menu items called company tags, company segments, and company points triggers. And yeah, before we go into deep here, too far into that here, let's get started with segments. So segments, quick recap, in contacts means we can have lists of people who share who have something in common. We filter for things, and based on that we create segments. Filters could be has visited a page, is based in Canada, has so and so many points, has opened an email, whatever. And what can we do with those segments? A, we can start campaigns, and B, we can use them in other combinations as a basis for other things. And the very same thing we did for companies, we can now filter for location and for other properties that are basically all those that you know for companies, like address, etc. And that includes revenue, employees, and we even can add additional fields, and we can filter for them all. So if we have tech stack as a field, we can filter for those. So let's say we want to have a segment of companies, of people that use, say, Salesforce, and we have that information in the company, of course, then we can create a dynamic dynamic segment for that. And we can even do company scoring. We'll talk about that in a second, and then filter on that. So this is the company segments list as we know it. You also have the bubbles on the right-hand side, the numbers of members, etc., etc. Let's start with the filtering. Typically, you want to find out, or you want to filter out those companies that are of specific interest for you, that match some specific criteria. Might be vice versa, filter those out that are not interesting. That could be, as we said, the country, the technology, the company size, business data, etc., etc. Maybe the capitalization. So straightforward. The good thing is you don't have to learn anything new. This is just as we all know it from contacts. There are some comfort features like bulk changes here, change company segments manually. Little disclaimer, that is not completely working as of today. You can change it, but it will be overwritten by the filters later. So that's a pending change, or pending fix rather. And of course, there's a cron job that will update the company segment members as it is the same for contact segments. So totally usual, as we know it, Bad news is it was a lot of work nonetheless, but it's there and we're happy. Good. Next up, company tags. We just like with contact tags, we have tag management, and again, we have the number of companies that carry the tag. You can click on it and then see the filtered list. And then if you, for instance, click on the number of the 5 companies that carry the tag VIP, you will have that here. Or 4 it is, rather. You could, of course, use the same tag manually, and the same is true for segments as well. So filtering in the company list view is extended to segments and tags. Of course, here too, you can remove company tags and add company tags. You have these little bubbles that we know from the contacts, and you even have a single-click remove that has been recently introduced to contacts. We have that here for the company as well. So this is or like feature by feature. Basically, we think we have pretty mature, pretty well featured plugins already. The single things are not so exciting, but what you can do with it, and the fact that we are starting towards something even bigger, that's the exciting part here. So filtering for companies, we will get to that in reports. With point triggers, you can set tags automatically. So tags pretty much across the board, in some places even better than the contact tagging. And we even have a campaign action where in a certain condition, the company's tags can be modified based on a leads or a contact situation. So if a contact does a specific thing, like signs up for a demo, then the entire company is tagged accordingly. Good. And then the third major one is scoring. So the company points. Company points have been kind of there in the past, but nothing else than just a single number that is there as a property of the company. No triggers, no action, no nothing. The only thing you could do is, as a campaign action, change that number. So in the old world, you could say, if this demo has been signed up for, then we give 20 points to the company. So that's what we call the static points. We want to be much smarter than that. We also want to look at the activity of the company's contacts. So I have company with 5 contacts that belong to that company, and I definitely want to know if those 5 contacts in total are or have been active and been doing the right thing, and maybe even pointing us towards a specific direction. And how do we do that? The solution for that is we have the static score as we had it. So we didn't change that, but we added a second thing that's called the calculated score. And this calculation is, of course, algorithmic. So in this case, or currently, the only algorithm we have is to say we take the static points and we add the average of all contacts that currently carry points. So those who are 0, we don't factor in. But after a long discussion about the best math here, we said, okay, that's the best algorithm for now. It's probably not one size fits all, so we will come up with alternative algorithms in the future, but calculating the aggregated point score for a company is a pretty exciting thing and a pretty powerful thing, especially when you have a lot of traffic and you want to separate the good from the less interesting ones. And now I already spoiled that one. We already introduced triggers for company scores. So if a certain company comes to 20 points, again, this is completely simulating the triggers for contacts. If the company comes to, say, 20 points, we want to do something. And the first two things that we came up with is modify the company's tags. Say, okay, now this is a VIP company, it gets a VIP tag. And the other one is send email to user. That one, yet another disclaimer, is currently not published. The feature is did not pass QA, let's put it that way. But it's coming up, and so you can say if a single company reaches 20 points, then immediately we can send an email to sales and say, hey, look at this company and take care of them. There are other triggers that you can think of, like modify company segments as a very simple one. But you could also say push to integration. Wouldn't that be cool? I don't think every integration, every CRM will allow pushing of companies rather than individuals. But it would certainly be cool to somehow notify the sales team and not use email. So our plan here is to introduce a so-called proxy contact. So a technical contact that represents the company. And then when something happens, we can then say, okay, we push that technical contact, that proxy contact to the CRM, and it can do all the things the CRM wants. By the way, we can do a lot more with that. We could, for instance, put that proxy contact into a workflow. So we are not doing workflows for companies, but we are planning to allow workflows by using the proxy contact. And then yet another example here for a trigger would be send print mail. And why is that? We have situations where we don't have an email address, or don't have consent to send email, or whatever. We only know that the company has been there, but we don't have anything specific. In that case, one of the few ways to actually reach out to that company is to just send a postcard or a letter. It doesn't work for a 2,000 people enterprise, but for a 30 people or employee company, that might make sense. So it's a pretty fascinating discussion to say, okay, which triggers actually make sense, which are hard to implement, which not. And at this point, we started with something, and we'll add more as we move on to the future. So that's point triggers. And then this thing also comes with a cron job. That's the one that calculates the aggregated points, the points calculated. Yeah, it's console command, regular cron job. This is different. We don't have such a thing for contacts because we don't have to aggregate anything there. So other than that, it's a pretty straightforward cron job. Goody. Now the other plugin, number 4, is also about helping people to see what's going on. So let's say for which VIP companies did we recently get? And the way to do this is to create a dashboard widget, which tells me exactly that. So in this case, I have 2 widgets next to each other. One is called latest Wonderland companies. The other is called latest finance companies. In the end, behind that is the very same mechanism. I basically have 2 instances of this widget, and we're using company segment filter in this case. And I can match and mix, combine whatever I want in segment filtering here. And then when I say, give me everything that is in the finance segment, and then it will give me the N youngest ones in this list, and that's fantastic. There's more coming here as well. We want to allow filtering for other things, like for tags. We also want to limit the number or adjust the number of entries to display. Currently, it is a fixed number. So ideas for next steps everywhere, but this is already very, very nice, powerful. I think one of the most powerful things in the whole package here. And then once again about this question, okay, who do we have? Who did visit us? And in this case, we're using reports. Remember, we have send email to user, which sends one email for one company right at the point when the score has been reached. Then we have the dashboard widget that I have to go to in the, basically I have to open up Mautic and go to the dashboard and see what's going on, actively look there. And so the third and last option to stay informed is to use the reports. And turns out we already can do reporting on company. So the only thing we see here that's not been there is basically the score calculated. So I can see the score in the report, but in the end, I can add any custom field and put that into the report. Plus, we can filter the report, and that's new. We now have a new data source called company tags, and as you can see in the lower third here, I did filter for company tags equals VIP. So that is now the powerful thing, that we can filter our report for tags, and well, coming up is also filter for segments. And based on that, I can, on the one hand, get this nice report shown when I go to Mautic, the one we just saw, but I can also send that via email. If you are familiar with email reports or with emailing of reports in Mautic, that's not exactly beautiful, but it does the job and does work here as well. So I can say, that report that we just created, send that to me once a day, once a week, whatever, and then I am informed with the latest and greatest, and even it comes in CSV format, and if I choose to, I could even import it to somewhere else. Well, in the end, this is just the big picture. Nothing much new here. By the way, on the right-hand side, we see the company logo. That is something that is also not out of the box, but also not included in the plugins that we released today. It is, well, work in progress, let's put it that way. We want to get it right, and it's nonetheless very helpful. I think we want to have it here because it just helps whoever is working with this. And maybe let's step back a little bit at this point and say, okay, who is it that's working with this? Is it the sales team or is it marketing? In my mind, sales should never touch Mautic except in very small organizations. But marketing, when it comes to this account-based marketing, there's always a little, or there's probably, or in many cases, there's a little pre-qualification, because what the machine does is not of reliable quality in many cases. So from what I see with our clients who are using this, they all have some manual review and then pushing over to sales or wherever. The workflows for that is what is guiding us. We are basically creating a fundament here. A fundament, is that the word in English? The foundation, oh yeah. And there's certainly, as I said, a lot of ideas and a lot of work to do before we have a really smooth and convenient and efficient workflow for the things that really matter. But I'm very excited that we're starting this today. And yeah, feedback or other ideas is one of the more important things. So to get started, all the plugins are on GitHub now. They all have something with company in the name, so you can easily search for company, or you just go to the booth here in the Mautic conference, and they are all linked in our booth. Now, as I said, feedback is a big deal. On the right-hand side, there are some of the ideas that we already have. There will be more. There will be others, and some will turn out to be not smart or not feasible. But we're very, very motivated to push this thing hard and make it a power tool and make Mautic a real power horse when it comes to account-based marketing. Obviously, we are currently talking about third-party plugins, and I think that's a good way to go because things can mature before eventually, I hope, they will be moved to the core. So maturing, there's stability. I think it's pretty good already. We leave out everything that's not perfect and already create a good value. But we will add more things over time. So stability plus feature richness, that's going to happen. And it also comes to things like, are the permissions already perfect? In some cases, we don't think they are perfect yet. That's another place where sometimes we even copied the bad stuff from Mautic. So permissions in other places in Mautic is also not perfect, but we want to do a good job here, and so our motivation is to get the permissions right, get the API support right, so everything around it, the unit tests on a really good level. We actually intend to have all these things not only unit tested, but really regression tested. So the thing that Patrick already presented today, and have all that ready when we consider moving things to the core. So other than that, I would personally love to hear from people who are interested in this matter and would like to help us with feedback and ideas today, or maybe even on an ongoing basis. I do think this is a very typical example for a target team. So this hashtag TT-companies, that's our proposal, that we create a target team for all who care about B2B and account-based marketing. And let me repeat to you, what is a target team? It is a permanent but small team that is totally focused on one niche of Mautic. In this case, the niche is obviously companies and everything around it. And the team should be really diverse. It should be ideally maybe even coder, designer, but business people, Mautic users who have the actual itch and the actual need and the actual ideas, who know what is going on elsewhere in the world, so we can learn from others. We don't always have to invent ourselves. You don't have to be super experienced. You just have to be dedicated and have to be curious and have to enjoy this thing rather than considering it a burden. So if you are interested in that, please do contact me. Ideally, right here in the conference. You can go to the booth, or you can just go to the meeting planner in Mautic, or you go to leuchtfeuer.com and find my details there. Well, what else do we have? Oh, Rodrigo, are we out of time already? Let me just show you one more slide. the next level is what we are going to present tomorrow, because so far we always took company data for granted, and where do they come from in reality? Well, either people are friendly enough to enter data in their forms, in a call to action or something, or we get it from a CRM or something. But tomorrow we're gonna look at something very different, and that is we want to use all the anonymous leads that fly by in a temporary process, use the IP address to detect the company from the IP address, then of course anonymize like we always do, and even qualify all the data so that instead of knowing nothing about your visitors, your anonymous visitors, or having one or two people who fill in the lead, you suddenly see a lot more. You have a lot of information about your anonymous B2B visitors. It's all about companies only, and all that within the boundaries of GDPR, etc. But we're gonna talk about that tomorrow. I think that is the most exciting part of it all. So tomorrow, 11 UTC, 1300 Central European time, or whatever is in your time zone. If you're interested in all this account-based marketing, tomorrow, basically part 2 of that. So, and that's it with my information. And Rodrigo, I didn't watch anything in the chat or question sections. So please help me out. What shall we talk about now?
Oh, can you hear me?
Now we hear you. Yeah.
Ah, what a great presentation, Eki. Great. Congratulations.
Mm.
So many plugins, so many features. I don't even know where to start
Yeah.
testing out all those features. I think
Yeah.
it's
I can
amazing.
I can give you a little background, because the information about all this kind of snuck out. Originally, we want to really make it a secret and just like dropping a big present at Mauticon, and I think for some it's still news, but yeah, for some reasons we decided to involve other people and make even a proposal in the Mautic community, etc. for all this. So it's not complete surprise, but I still think it's um,
No,
let's put it that way. I would love to see this from other companies too.
it's a great gift. Definitely, it's a great gift. I would need a whole session just to digest every plugin, every feature, because you pass so fast in all of them. But for me, I would need one session per plugin because it's amazing to see how we can extend all the features. It's amazing. Yes, we have some questions. I think I will start with my question first because I think it's kind of more generic. It's how who did the actual development? It was your company. How
Mm.
that worked?
Okay, yeah, okay, that's an excellent question, because I totally want to give credit to all those who are involved or have been involved in this and still are, because obviously this has been a team effort. It's all our own people. It's not like outsourced. It's from our permanent team, and I want to mention Lennon Leitch, Artem Lopotka, Jonas. I want to mention Patrick. I want to mention Peter, and the rest of the team who also supported all this, especially including Leon and Madeleine. I hope I didn't forget anyone who was really at the core of this. But it has been a total team effort. It has been lingering actually for years. And then in January, we did an offsite workshop to kick this off and get it rolling. And it has been quite a journey.
Nice. And Madeline, she just mentioned that you forgot yourself, of course.
Yeah, I've been slightly involved. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing effort. And I have another question. before open the other questions, it's because I also created a couple of plugins, and I'm curious to know how much did it cost you to develop these plugins. I don't know if you can open that, but that would be great to know.
Mm, honestly, I have no idea. We do have the time tracking for this. It has been, well, month of work, obviously, but I don't have the number, and everybody can do the math themselves. It's again how open source works. It's an investment. We want to make the product better. We want to present ourselves as knowledgeable in Mautic in general, but also in a certain area like B2B marketing. We are also adding on top of it this service that we're going to talk about tomorrow, the Floodlight service. So that's a foundation for that. So there is some actual business interest behind it, and that's driving our investment into this open source project. And I think that's the perfect way how open source works. But in the end, we're not that business driven as we maybe should be. So I cannot tell you the numbers at all. We just do what it takes and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I think at the end it's all about that. Enjoy the ride and create some value to our community. I think that it's what it's I like most. We have a great question here from Dirk Fork. Hi, Eki. Is it possible to segment contacts by company? Segment, for example, contacts from companies in segment phase 21 with more than 50 points, for example, for contact based. Oh, let me put that
Yeah.
comment. Yeah, base companies create Dirk from
Segment.
Team Win.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one thing on our long list of new ideas is to have uh, more filtering, more action on the contact side, to have more company awareness on the contact side. So, for instance, have a contact segment filter that looks at company segments. I think that's what this is about. Yeah, that's totally on the list. Also, workflow action or workflow conditions, for instance, that do things like that. Yeah.
Amazing.
By the way, greetings, Dirk.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I know Dirk. So greetings.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a big family here today. And we also have a good question from Ruth. What do you think Mautic needs to do in order to be the world's best B2B marketing automation tool?
Oh,
That's
that's
an easy
generic.
answer. Come on, Eki. It's
That's
a
generic.
yes.
I I would not even think in a technical direction here. I think the best potential that Mautic has is the dynamics that come from open source. And we are still at the early stages of this avalanche. So when we have this little snowball, it is rolling slowly. And the bigger it gets, the heavier it gets, the more speed it picks up, etc., and the bigger it gets in turn. So we have a ton of ideas, and we are exploring one niche here. Once again, we have so many other things. I think even with sticking with this narrow focus of all marketing automation, the sky is the limit. There are so many great ideas. We only need the structures to implement that. And structures means obviously contributors, obviously organization, and a lot of communication. Maybe that's one thing for the panel discussion tomorrow, because it's a complex thing. How do we get there?
Yes.
But the important part is to get more people involved, and to do that, how do we get more people involved? So that is a route where we need to start.
Yeah, I think that's the point. How do you get more people involved? And I like when you mention this compounding effect that as soon as we started creating new plugins over new plugins and new
Mm.
connections, so many people they miss this long term view, and they just go and they want to go after the new AI feature here and there, and then
That's
but
okay.
this yeah
Yeah, yeah, but again, it's not so feature driven in my mind. It's more about um, people out there who are even open to contributing. Many are not aware of this whole contribution idea,
yes
but many are open and said, "Yeah, I would totally like to do that, but I have no idea where to start," and that is what you need to crack.
yeah
Hmm.
I totally agree. Well, we don't have any other question here for you, Eki. Of course, I still have many questions about your plugins,
Hmm.
but I think that's all. I thank you all our audience for being so interactive in our chat. They are sending so many hearts for you, Eki. You won as the winner with the most number of hearts during a session today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you we have this prize, but you won. And yes, now, well, I hope you everybody can join me in our next session. So I hope everyone have a great evening and afternoon. So see you all very soon. Thank you, Eki.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.